It's the Happy Families Podcast. It's the podcast for the time-poor parent who just wants answers now.
One of my favourite episodes each month is This Week in Parenting.
Bom bom.
You're rolling your eyes at me. You think that I'm a bit cheesy about this one, don't you?
Yep.
Thanks so much. Guess what, though? Do you remember what happened last month when I tried to do This Week in Parenting? Anyway, we've been talking way too long. There are 6 stories. I don't think we're going to have time for them all because we've done 3 and our time is almost up. I reckon we need to call it quits there.
You decided to add about, 50 bajillion stories into one episode.
I tried to squeeze 6 stories into one episode.
And we didn't get there, did we?
No, we had to stretch it out over 2, maybe 3 episodes. But gee, it was fun. Today, I've learnt my lesson, Mrs. Happy Families.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Ask me how many stories.
How many stories are we doing today?
3 stories.
3.
What about teenagers? What about social media? And what about, there's more Roblox news. So let's kick off. Which one are we starting with?
Let's do Roblox.
Should Woolworths end their partnership with Roblox? The supermarket giant is under fire today for child safety concerns because of their latest promotion running with Roblox. Basically, if you're...
This appeared in all of the News Corp papers over the last couple of weeks. Thousands of furious Australians have slammed Woolworths for partnering with controversial multi-billion-dollar gaming platform Roblox that has exposed some children to harmful content. The supermarket giant introduced Roblox Rewards to give customers over the age of 18 a chance to win every week a share of 100 million Robux. Robux, as you would know, Kylie, because I know that you love Roblox so much, is a virtual currency used on the app to purchase avatars and special abilities in the game.
Yeah, Emily was critiquing our Roblox episode a few weeks back.
Really?
And she got very angry at me because I said Roblox money instead of Robux.
Yeah,
Yes.
That's what happens when you've got a 10-year-old who desperately wants to have what we are saying no. So there is a change.org petition that's been created that's garnered thousands and thousands of signatures calling for the supermarket giant to end its collaboration with the quote-unquote harmful app. Worth highlighting, last year, the Australian Federal Police said that children as young as 12 are being targeted by extremists who are infiltrating online gaming platforms, including Roblox, with a rising number of children being investigated for radicalised ideologies. As well as that, we know that Roblox is a pedophilic hellscape where people are genuinely getting on there and targeting children at scale and trying to move them off that platform onto encrypted platforms so that they can be exploited in other ways. It's just a bad idea.
It really intrigues me. I mean, all of the things that they've done previous have been targeted at children.
Yes.
And all of a sudden we need to, give over 18s a bonus.
This is nuts.
It doesn't make sense to me, knowing full well that you're going to have children of every age interested and wanting whatever's on offer.
Yeah, it blows me away. I feel like Woolworths, not that this is a kind of a corporate slam here because I'm not that guy, but I feel like Woolworths has made some really big missteps lately.
Yeah.
They won't do Australia Day kind of paraphernalia because it's terrible for the environment. They're happy to do Halloween, by the way, which is, I reckon, even worse for the environment. And now I think it's just a giant misstep on their part. But of course, this means that every parent is going to be subject to the pester power of their children who are saying, can I, I want, let's go shopping there because I can get some Robux so that I can jump online and get...
I guess Coles is going to have an influx of
yeah,
parents.
That's right. Coles, IGA and Aldi are saying, keep it up, Woolies, just keep doing this. This is great. Parents are like, let's go anywhere but Woolworths. Oh, my goodness.
What's story number 2?
They're known as snus, zyns or nicotine pouches, and up to 1 in 4 young Aussies have used them since the recent crackdown on vapes. That's according to a survey from the University of Melbourne.
This one showed up on the ABC a couple of weeks ago, and it caught my attention because, oh my goodness, these tobacco giants, smoking is on the decline, and it has been for a long time. It's a good news story, right? But they keep on finding new ways to get product into the hands of our young people. We've got vapes illegally being sold all over the place. There's all sorts of issues going on with vapes. Nicotine in vapes is just so toxic. But what also seems to be making its way into adolescents' hands are these things called nicotine pouches. There's a nicotine product that is even harder to detect. They're known as zyns or snus or ziz. Call them what you will. Increasingly, researchers are finding that teenagers are getting hold of these things. They're very, very, very easy to procure on social media, despite the restrictions on buying and selling them. Essentially, the way these things work is you've got a little pouch. It's very, very small. It fits easily inside your lip. Like, imagine something about the size of a piece of chewing gum. You just stick it up there inside I'm doing it now, like as if people can see I'm doing it on the podcast. I got my fingers in my mouth. That's why I sound so weird. But you stick this nicotine pouch. It's discreet. It's available in a whole lot of flavors. You stick it inside your lip against your gum and suck away. Super addictive. Being sold illegally by tobacconists. Teenagers think they're the best. They'd much rather use these nicotine pouches than vape or smoke.
Well, I'm going to assume there's not a lot of smell to them either, are they?
No, that's exactly right.
Very easy to get the hit without being detected.
Yeah, so if someone's got nicotine cravings and they were addicted to vapes, or just because they feel like sticking something in their mouth, nicotine pouches seem to be filling that gap. The nicotine industry, it just keeps on finding ways to work around the law and to get these products into the hands and the mouths and the lungs and the bloodstreams of young people. I mean, they're just so duplicitous. They're so mendacious. And they're doing it so successfully. It's just unbelievable how much it's happening. Just to emphasize, nicotine pouches are banned from sale in Australia, but social media, so easy to get it out there, and they are harmful. They are bad for our kids, and if you've got teenagers, you probably want to talk to them about it, because your teenagers will know what it means to get Nic-Sick. Nic-Sick meaning nicotine sick. The pouches deliver this high impact nicotine, and they end up feeling really crook, end up feeling like they're going to pass out. That is This Week in Parenting.
No, it's not. You said there were 3 stories.
Oh,
What's
yeah.
your last story?
So the last story is everywhere, and it has been for a couple of months now. And I'm so glad the conversation about do we or don't we make social media banned for kids under the age of 16.
For too many young Australians, social media can be harmful.
The federal government introducing a bold bill to block kids under 16 from online apps.
I commend the bill to the House.
We've got the opposition and we've got the federal government both working towards passing legislation by the end of the year. And it looks like this might go ahead.
Well, a couple of things going through my mind. Number one, who in their right mind would be against this? But secondly, how do they police this?
Yeah, these are really, really challenging and big questions. First of all, who would be against it? There are some real privacy issues around this. And I have previously said all of the civil libertarians who are just being annoying and saying, well, privacy trumps children's safety. The privacy issues are pretty big. See, if you're going to have to demonstrate that you are who you say you are, that means that literally every Australian who uses social media is going to have to divulge their information to whatever platform or whatever system that the government sets up to make sure that this works. They haven't worked out the intricacy of it. They haven't worked this out yet, but there are definitely privacy issues. And I think it's fair enough in that a lot of adults want to be able to keep what they're doing and who they are away from the eyes of the government. It's not that they're doing anything nefarious or negative. It's just that they want the government out of their lives. And I understand that. I actually feel reasonably the same way. Having said that, the advantages to keeping our children safe are greater. The second issue that I would highlight that's making people question whether it is or is not a good idea is that there are minority groups, there are people with additional needs, there are challenged groups who find a certain level of safety and community and peace and goodness in their lives by being able to access one another on social media. And quite often when children are impressionable and young and they're under the age of 16, they want those groups to support them as they deal with the challenges that they face. Now, I want to be really upfront and highlight that some of these groups are toxic and they're giving our children really bad ideas. But there are many kids who find refuge and safety online, and if they're copping it, if they're really struggling in their lives, sometimes the online world, the online social media world can be a place of refuge and safety for them. I would say there's more downside to upside, but I need to acknowledge that for some kids, it is their salvation. In terms of the policing that you've raised, this is a really tricky one. See, I don't think that it's appropriate or fair in any way for parents to be carted off to court or charged or fined if their kids are on social media. It is a parenting issue, by the way. It is a parenting issue. But I think that the social media companies are the ones who need to make sure that they are not letting people online who should not be there. I think that it should be on them. And I think the fines need to be massive so that it's a real knee to the groin. Like, it makes them double over in pain if they allow kids to get access to something that they're not old enough for and that they shouldn't be getting access to.
I think about the 3 stories we've spoken about specifically today: Roblox with Woolies, handouts, and nicotine pouches. And now we're talking about social media. And I just keep going back to this idea that it takes a village to grow a child. And when our village, if we're not all on the same page, it's so much harder as a parent, feeling like you are doing it all alone.
When legislation comes through, it makes it much easier for every parent to say, you know what, kiddo, it's the law. You just got to wait till you're 16. And if they can set up a system that is, you're never going to set up a foolproof system, right? Under 18s still get access to alcohol.
Yeah.
Unlicensed drivers still drive vehicles. There are kids that get into casinos or nightclubs who shouldn't be in there. This stuff will still happen, but it reduces the likelihood of it enormously. One really big concern is Snapchat reckons they're going to get out of anything. The definition of social media matters here. Snapchat is saying we're not a social media app, we're actually a messaging app. Right. So they're going to have to get their definitions really, really tight. The legislation is going to have to be extremely, extremely good. But ultimately, if they can do it well, and if they can address the privacy concerns that reasonable adults have around this without being crazy about it, I think that this will be a really, really good thing. And it's so good. It's so good to actually say something nice about the government because, frankly, I think they've been feckless until this point. But the fact that they're working on this, if they can get this legislation right, this will be a massive positive for, well, we've blown a couple of generations, really, but it'll be a massive positive for future generations.
Do you really think they can do it?
No, I actually don't. And even if they do, there'll be challenges from social media companies in the courts, and there will also be years taken to develop the infrastructure and the technology to make this all work. And there will be teething problems and there'll be all sorts of issues. It's going to take years for it to get through. But gee, I hope they can. I'm optimistic because I know that there is a groundswell from the bottom up moving in this direction. I'm not optimistic because I have so little faith in the broader political movements that we have. Nevertheless, we cross our fingers and we hope, because I think it'll be a good thing for our children if we can address those concerns effectively. Kylie, guess what?
3 stories.
And we've done it on time.
Wow.
This week in parenting, we'll be back next year.
It was the best sentence I think I've heard.
We're almost ready for a break. It's getting close. Another couple of weeks of the podcast. You know what? Tomorrow, I'll do better tomorrow on the pod. Can't wait to share with you some news that's happening in our world. And then, did you know that next week it's December? Yes! And we're going to start talking Christmassy stuff and all the things that you need to know to prepare for a wonderful summer holiday. Can't wait to see you again tomorrow, or talk to you again tomorrow on the Happy Families podcast, which is produced by Justin Rillon from Bridge Media. For more info about making your family happier, all of our resources are at happyfamilies.com.au.